My name is Andrea Needles, Fitness Director at Creighton Farms. Since working the core is really important, as well as having a good stretched out body, I wanted to show you some exercises that you guys can do at home. We're going to start with our lower back, just kind of warming it up with some cat and cows. Let's just get your core warmed up and ready to go for some abs. Okay, we're going to do just a couple more of these, and then I'm going to lay down on the floor on my stomach and work our lower back, which a lot of people neglect and end up having some back issues later on. So we're going to go ahead and start with some flutter kicks. And then I'm going to bring my arms out to the sides and up and get my arms and upper back working as well. Make sure that you focus on your breathing too, so that you don't hold your breath. I'm keeping my neck neutral so that I don't tense up my neck and end up having that sore. We're going to do a few more of these. And now I'm going to bring my arms back, and I'm just going to hold and release, looking neutral. Let's go ahead and do about 2 or 3 more. It is really important to stretch out your lower back after you do those, because it really does tighten up your back, but it's important to work it. So before I go into my full stretches later on, I'm just going to take a quick second to stretch it out now. I'm going to add in a little bit of a rock. All right. So when people think they just want to do their abs, they want that six-pack abs, obviously some of it's diet, but a lot of it is obviously the exercises, but you also don't want to neglect your glute muscles too. So I'm going to go ahead, even though I do my glutes in my lower body workouts, I'm also going to include a few of them right here, just to kind of remember to engage them, just to remember that I like to treat them as part of the core package too, which they are. So I'm going to go ahead and do a few glute raises, really focusing on getting my bottom up in the air and squeezing. I'm going to do 4 more. We're going to do 2 sets of these. You'll notice a little bit of tightness in your hamstrings when you're doing these, but we'll stretch those out when we get to our stretching. 4. Okay. I'm going to kind of stretch again just for a second, and we're going to go just do another set. All right. You'll notice that I really, before I do anything, I press my abs down, pressing that back into the mat. I want to make sure I can't get my hand underneath my back. It's really important. All right. I'm going to walk my feet a little bit closer to my bottom to make sure I'm really focusing on my glutes. I'm going to go ahead and do 4 more. 4, 3, and I'm really pressing down each time. All right. We're going to start. I'm going to keep the exercises pretty basic today, but they're really effective. So even though they're not super complicated, they get the job done. So we're just going to start out. I'm going to walk my feet out a little bit. It makes it a little bit more, the exercise a little more intense, but you can start, if you're just in the beginning stages, you can keep your feet right next to your bottom. I'm going to put my hands behind my neck, and I'm going to press those abs down, and I'm going to lift up as high as I can, but I'm not pulling my neck. Feel free to add more reps or more sets to your workout if you want to. But for purposes of today, I'm going to do everything just twice. All right, a few more exercises. All right, and I like to just stretch quickly. Again, I'm not doing a full stretching session, but I'm just going to briefly relax, give myself just a quick break, and I'm going to go right back into it. You can also walk your feet in and out as you progress through the exercises to make it easier or harder. And feel free to mix it up a little bit. You can put your feet together, knees apart. I tend to feel that a little bit lower on my abs if I switch it up a little bit. So I like to do that. Most important thing is just to have fun with it. Keep it varied, come up with different exercises each time or every week or so just to keep it interesting and fun. All right, stretching again. All right, I'm gonna switch over, I'm gonna switch gears a little bit and I'm gonna go to my side plank. It's really important to keep your hips up and raised throughout your exercise. Your elbow is right underneath your shoulder. If you have shoulder issues, obviously this probably would not be the best exercise, but I'll show you some ones you could do to substitute this one for. But I like to just kind of do, now I like to lower and raise my hips, but you can keep it stationary as well. If you want to add in a little bit of upper body, you can put one arm up in the air. I usually do about 2 sets of 10. This is, I'm going to show you varied exercises for your obliques, the side of your abs. I'm just going to do a few more on each side and then move on. All right, on the other side. And we go up and down. Still making sure to keep that elbow underneath my shoulder, my back straight, my hips stacked. So after this one, you can stop your video and do it a second set, or throw it in with some extra obliques that I'm going to show you here in a second. And holding, I'm going to put my arm up in the air. You can also twist it if you want to. That's just an extra variation if you want to do that. Okay. Let me show you another alternative. If you do have a shoulder issue that you don't want to mess with, don't worry, you can still get those obliques worked. So I'm going to press those abs down. I'm going to keep my feet in a neutral position, about hip width apart. And I'm going to crunch, kind of pivot to the side. Keeping my lower body stationary, and I'm just going side to side. Now, one thing with this one is you can put your hands behind your neck if you want to, if you feel like your neck's getting a little bit sore. I tend to feel a little bit more if I bring my hand out to the side, but again, it's not imperative. 4, 3, 2, 1. Another option, if you have a neck injury or a neck issue that you don't want to, or your neck just fatigues, go ahead and lift your knees up in the air, keep them together, and you're going to pivot your lower body. So I'm going to bring my feet to my hand. I'm going to start on my left side, and again, I'm crunching the side of my body. And I'm going to keep my head down. And you actually really don't even need to rotate your neck at all. So you can kind of just keep it stationary, or you can look side to side if you want to, but at least your neck's supported by the floor. And I still really feel that. So even though, and I'm not impacting my shoulders or my neck or anything. So this is a really good effective exercise. Okay. We're going to go kind of change paces a little bit, and we're going to go to an isometric hold. So it's in addition to the plank, which I think most of us know. Let me just demonstrate that real quickly before I go back to what I was going to say. I'm going to flip over and just make sure, there's different variations, but I just wanted to show you, make sure that you're really pulling your abs in, squeezing your glutes. This is a really just a good basic exercise that you can make harder by lifting one leg. You can make it a little more cardio if you want to jump together. So there's lots of variations you can do. So I just wanted to throw that in there. Another isometric hold is called the boat. This, I would make sure that you have a strong back for, or at least strong enough that if it starts to fail you or if it starts to get really sore or weak, you stop. And then you just stretch out and revisit another time. But it's a good exercise. It's just you really want to maintain that core strength at all times. And if you feel like it's starting to weaken, just let go. So basically, you're creating a V with your body. You can straighten your legs, bend, or keep them all straight, or bend. You can also, if you need a little assistance, don't hesitate just to put your hands here, and you can go in and out like that. Again, you're still getting a really good workout. And sometimes it's better to take a step back and do more reps than try to go for the hardest variation. So this is just as effective. Now I'm just going to hold it. I'm going to pull my abs in, hold for a couple seconds. You're also getting some legs and some lower body in there too. After that, I'm going to go ahead and stretch. I'm going to stretch a little bit longer now because that was a little bit harder. And I feel a little bit more impact on my body. So I'm just going to take a little step back, stretch. I'm also going to turn over and do what they call in yoga from a modified cobra position. I like to bring my elbows to my chest to really stretch out. All right. Let's move on to focusing a little bit more on our lower abs. So every exercise, you can't isolate one part of your abs, but when you raise your feet up in the air, raise your hips up in the air, you're definitely focusing a little bit more and getting a little bit more emphasis on the lower part of your body. So we're gonna, of your abs. So we're gonna go ahead and start there. We're gonna put our hands underneath our bottom, pull my abs in, and I'm just gonna start with, I'm gonna turn this into Flutter Kicks in a second. Right now I'm just raising and lowering my feet. And now I'm gonna flutter them. I usually do this one for time rather than reps. And again, because I like to mix things up, I'm going to go side to side. You're also going to feel this in the mid part of your abdominals. Again, you can't escape. They're all engaged. Okay, now I'm going to hold it. And now I'm going to go into what's called a reverse crunch. So we started our workout with the crunch, and we're going to get the lower part of our abs with the crunch. So again, I'm going to keep my hands underneath my bottom, and I'm going to lift up into the air. But I'm lifting my hips, but I want to make sure that you focus on pulling your abs down and then lifting up. You don't want to lift back. You want to keep it up at 90 degrees. Up in the air, down. Up in the air, down. You can also put your hands onto like the bottom of a heavy chair or anything, like bottom of a bed, anything that you can secure your hands on, or take your son's feet, your daughter's, whatever, you know, if you want something to anchor yourself on, you can do that as well. If you do it with a partner, the partner can actually hold a ball and throw it to you, and you can catch it and make it even just a little bit harder. That's a variation. If I had a partner here to demonstrate, I would do that. We'll do that in future videos, because that's a really good one. All right, let's just do two more. 2 and 1. All right, we're just gonna do 2 more exercises. I'm gonna put my left foot on my right knee. I'm gonna lift up and to the side. I'm not pulling my neck. I'm not scrunching my chin. I'm looking neutral and over. Up and over. All right, let's knock out 4 more. 4, 3, 2, 1. Flip around. This is when it's easy to hold your breath, so really got to focus on that. Press on those abs. All right, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, our last exercise for the abs is going to be our bicycles. So I like to do these slow. I'm going to touch my left elbow to my right knee, vice versa. I'm going to go slow, keeping my back down. So I want to be a slow, controlled motion. Relaxing my neck, looking neutral. Let's do 10 more each side. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, we're going to move into our favorite part for me, and that's stretching. So I'm going to start out in a basic yoga move, my child's pose. This kind of just sets the tone for me to start my stretching. And if your body doesn't need it, your mind might need it. So it's so good to stretch. I'm going to take a nice deep breath and exhale. And I'm going to lean into, I'm going to start with an upper body stretch. I'm going to stretch into and kind of lean into my left side. Switching over to the right side. I'm going to go back and do that one more time. I tend to get really tight in my lats right here, so I really like to get down and stretch as much as possible. And I'm going to go back to child's pose, walk my hands up. And a lot of times people tend to raise their shoulders, really relax your shoulders as much as you can. Wiggle your fingers. And now I'm going to bring my left hand underneath my body. This stretches my upper back and my shoulder area. And I usually hold each position roughly 15 seconds. Doesn't have to be exact, but if you're feeling particularly tight and you want to kind of rock into it and do it for a little bit longer, that's also really helpful. Do that twice. Especially for those who work at a computer, it's really, really important to stretch out your upper back and shoulder area. For chest, just take a door frame, walk away from it, or kneel away from it. Drop your shoulder, look away, and you'll feel a nice stretch in your chest. And just do the other side. We're going to definitely stretch out our necks, but we'll do that a little bit later. Now I'm going to go to the floor. Bring my knees into a second. Now, if you have a yoga strap, that would definitely be handy, but for those of us who don't have one handy, we're going to use just a nice little hand towel. I'm going to stretch out my hamstrings first. And a lot of people, they're really, really tight and often manifest with lower back pain. So sometimes your back is fine, but it hurts. And when you dig it a little deeper, you find out that it's actually your hamstrings that are excessively tight, and then the pain radiates up into your back. So really do not neglect stretching your hamstrings. And you can do this in any order. Sometimes I start with my hamstrings, sometimes I start with my runner's lunge, which we'll do next. My hamstrings were just feeling particularly tight. Many of you are probably out walking a lot, so they get tight, your calves get tight. So I'm going to go ahead and show you part of this calf stretch. I'm going to take my hand and kind of press my toes down a little bit to really feel that stretch in my calves. Now, if it's really tight, I come out of it a little bit and then I re-stretch it just to see if I can go a little bit further. But I don't want to. You never want to yank your body into a stretch that it's not prepared for, because you can get injured. Okay, I'm going to go back and hold a little bit longer. Doesn't matter what your other leg's doing. Sometimes I leave it straight, sometimes I bend it. And this gets a little bit higher in the hamstring. Okay, we're going to switch legs. You'll probably notice one side is a little bit more flexible than the other. Grab that toe. Relaxing. Stretch it. All right, we're going to switch gears for a second and go into that runner's lunge that I was telling you about. That gets a little bit more of the hip flexors and glutes, while also working your hamstrings too, stretching out your hamstrings as well. Okay, starting with my right leg out, I'm going to have my knee over my heel. I'm going to place my hands. You can actually put them on a book or a yoga block if you happen to have them, or just go on the floor. Bring my hands to the inside of my leg, and I'm really stretching out. Now I like to kind of rock back and forth. It just gets the glute a little bit more. I'm going to drop my back leg, tuck my back toe, and I'm going to push my hips forward, and that really gets my hip flexor on my other side. You can put your arm up in the air if you want to, or I usually just press my hips forward like that. Okay, now I'm going to go into my hamstring stretch. This is where I really notice one side being more flexible than the other side. You can rock into it. Try to really lower your hip. And switch. So my left side is definitely tighter, so I'm a little bit more careful. Drop my knee and my toe, push forward, and I feel that stretch right here. Just like I like to train, if you train the front of your body, you need to train the back of your body. If you're stretching the back of your legs, you need to stretch the front. So now we're going to switch into, right after we do this, we're going to stretch right into our quadricep stretch. So this side I have to focus a little bit more on dropping my left hip, relaxing my shoulders. I'm going to lay on my side, take my right leg, and I'm going to stretch out my quadricep. And I kind of rotate just a little bit. Okay. Now for me, I don't spend quite as much time on my quadriceps because I don't get as tight there, but if you do, take a little more time to emphasize that stretch. All right. Now I'm going to stretch to the side and work stretch those inner thighs and hips, pelvic area. And I take my hands, put them on the inside of my knees, and just kind of rock back and forth. Hold, open, press down a little bit more. Now most of us have pretty tight outer glutes and outer thighs, so I'm going to go ahead and stretch those out. Bring my right leg over, and I'm going to look away from the leg that's going over. Before switching to the other side, I'm going to take my knee and my foot on my right side and bring it into my chest. You'll notice that I have a bent leg. You can straighten it if you want. I tend to find that if I bend it, it's a little bit more of a stretch for me. But play around with it and see what works best for you. Okay, press that back down again, and I'm going to bring my left foot and knee to my chest. And I save my final stretch, which is my favorite, for my lower back. You can rock, and that really does get it. Or, if you're so inclined, you can continue on and stretch even more. That takes all the pressure off your spine, and it feels really good. It looks harder than it is. I'm not a particularly flexible person, and this just feels very, very good. I'm going to roll back. I'm going to bring my arms up above my head. And that's it. So in a very short amount of time, I've not only done my whole core, I've also done a full, complete stretching session. Thank you so much for joining me today.